There's a new sheriff in town, and his name is Carlos Dunlap. Welcome to the Pass Rush. New player in town. We're going to get into the details, what happened to practice, who's winning, who's losing, who's coming up today on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Yeah, buddy, the wait is over. We have an acquisition. We're going to go deep into the details, where we're at right now, what it means for this team. I'm Ryan Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting, as well as NFL 33 and RGR Football. Rogue APC is where you can find all the information you need about team building and the draft. Make sure you check that out as well. Thanks for making us your first listen. We hope that you check out another Locked On show, maybe the draft show. Just saying, you could check that out. We are Locked On.
Is there somebody familiar there?
I don't know. You might hear the same voice eventually.
Yeah.
We are your team every day for free on every platform. So thanks for checking us out.
Chris Clark, founder of Chiefs Corner. You can find me over there. Going to have a little bit to talk about with this Carlos Dunlap signing over there, specifically the contract details. Going to get into that. And honestly, I think that this is a great move for Kansas City. I do like what they did because now you're in a situation where you actually have somebody that has done something in the NFL before. That is produced. Now, I'm not going to call it great production, but it's still production. It's another Melvin Ingram type signing, maybe.
It's funny that you mentioned Melvin because Carlos Dunlap, 1 year up to $8 million. It looks like it's going to be a touch over $5 million in base. That is what the Seattle Seahawks were offering him to return there. Evidently, a very similar deal. Just wanted to be with a winner. It makes sense. Drew Lock is a quarterback in Seattle, so.
Yeah, which actually makes a ton of sense because that is about what they offered Melvin Ingram was 4.5. So if this is a touch over 5, this is a little bit more money. I don't know. I will say this. I don't know that you're getting a better player. I don't know that you're getting a better fit necessarily. I
will venture that you are.
Okay, well, that's fine. I'm just saying, is it really going to be worth the extra money? I don't know. We'll see whether or not he's actually able to produce this year in Kansas City. I hope he can. But it makes a lot of sense for Kansas City to make this move. They needed the defensive end help, and this should do that. I also wonder, I don't think he's going to be a starter this year, but this gives them a 3-man rotation that should be pretty decent.
Yeah.
Assuming Frank stays healthy.
Right. It affects things in a number of ways, and that's object number 2. Funny enough, once they missed out on Melvin and he went to Miami, Carlos Dunlap was the next guy that I said should be the next target. Because you are getting something similar. I think he's actually got a little bit better pass rush skills, a little bit more strength at the point of attack right now still, even though he's a little bit older than Melvin. I think by 6 months, something like that when I looked them up earlier. For those who are saying, why are you getting the same kind of player? It's because it paid off last year. And to tell you the truth, Melvin Ingram never wanted to be a Chief. Pretty sure he hated being a Chief all the way around ever since the time he was with the Chargers. They acquired him by trade. It wasn't a voluntary signing for him. So him going elsewhere was pretty much the seal of the deal there, that he did not want to be in Kansas City. Clearly, Carlos does. Looks like he's familiar with a couple of guys, including Frank Clark, but trained with Chris Jones this past offseason in Miami. He brings the pass rush ability. I think he had 8.5 last year in terms of getting home to the quarterback. And like you said, he doesn't have to start. He's a guy that is there for 2 reasons in my mind. To supplement pass rush for either Frank or George Karlaftis when they have to come off the field. Having a 3-man rotation is a heck of a lot better than having 2 guys and some backups.
Right.
That changes everything. And even beyond that, you saw Frank Clark's already working a little bit after practice with George Karlaftis. Now he's got another experienced guy with a lot of length that can teach him how to play in Spags' system specifically, because Spags is over the moon about this time.
Yeah, and he should be. And I don't want to go into this too deep, but I do want to say this. This type of signing and Frank Clark being in Kansas City, this doesn't keep Kansas City from doing anything in the long-term future at the pass rush position. I think that next year they easily could be looking at 2 pass rushers in the draft because they need it. They need to get younger. They need to get talent at that position. So don't think that that's going to change anything they're looking for long-term. But it's a good signing for this year. It should give them depth. It should give them the ability to hopefully get after the pass rush. And we've talked about it. Now you're in a great position because now you can have Karlaftis go down inside at times, be next to Chris Jones, and have Dunlap, Karlaftis, Jones, and Frank Clark all on the field at the same time. That should be able to produce pass rush, and that's going to be a winning scenario for Kansas City.
It's funny that you mention it that way because people have already been asking me, like, does Carlos go down to D tackle? No, it's probably Karlaftis. He did that in college. He's got more of the power aspect where I think we'll see it rotate. You can get the matchup you want basically with these 4 pass rushers.
Yeah, and we talked about that when he was drafted, that he can do it. I'm not saying he's going to do it on a regular basis, but it gives you the ability to do that. It gives you another guy you can stick inside that can give you pass rush next to Chris Jones. And I think that's going to be a winning formula just because it's going to get him to be able to do a lot of different things and get him more well-rounded, because he is more of a power guy than a finesse guy. He's more of a power guy than speed. He's not going to beat you around the edge like, a Frank Clark will. He doesn't have that bend. So him being closer to the QB is going to help.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, this gives them some injury protection. It gives them 2 guys that can mentor the young defensive end, and it gives you the rotation. At the end of the day, it's a win-win-win. I think it's really interesting how fast it came together as well. It looked like, I think it was the Panthers that were about to offer him another contract as well. But clearly, with the connection with the 2 guys he's going to play with on this defense, and the fact that this roster with some pass rush is primed for another run, I think that really is what sealed the deal, and I hope that that's the way that it comes down. In order to make that run, they need all their guys, especially the key positions. We have an update for what happened at practice today to Justin Reed, to the pass catchers, all that coming up here. But first, I got to tell you, if you're betting on the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl, you better put some money down the line over at BetOnline. That's the spot where you can get it all done. Find all the info, find all the pods, the odds, the lines, the games, everything you need to get your money out there on the line in a smart way that gives you your money back and then some. That's the goal of every wager for every person. You need the information to get that done. Be informed. They've got live in-game betting. They've got the scores, the pods, everything that you need to get that done. Head over to BetOnline, whether you're on your phone or your desktop or whatever you want to do. It's super easy to navigate. It's where everything is that you need. So it's BetOnline where the game starts. And where the game ends is how many points you put up, right?
Yes, real quick, just so we finish this, they released Mark Vitale, which is a tight end. Wasn't going to make the roster. Just throwing it out there so we finish the transaction.
Right.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. Scoring points is the name of the game, right? So
it is.
Tell me what stood out to you. It's been a good first day, but today, what happened to pass catchers because there was some noise?
Yeah, I think Juju had another good day, and so did MBS. And you're going to be looking at 2 guys that are going to be competing for balls from Patrick Mahomes this year, and that's a winning formula for Kansas City. I think that's a great situation to be in for the Chiefs. Is if you have those 2 guys that are trying to get as many balls as they can and try to produce, it's only going to be good things for the Chiefs.
Agreed. And it's got to be on target. Patrick was 10 for 11 in team today. That goes a long way towards getting yourself, like we've been talking about, to that point where your offense is multiple and unpredictable and has all the targets it needs to float the ball around to wherever will get you points. I'm glad to see that it's those 2 guys because I do feel like they have the best upside for being the load carriers. I think McColl is still a home run hitter, but I don't think he's a 10-game guy at the end of the day. So you want those guys.
I don't think his body will put up with it.
Agreed. But at the same time, you also don't want to have to change his route tree so much that's so dramatically underneath to create openings and that kind of thing. You want to let the experienced guys do that because they have the advantage and let McColl continue to hit home runs. I think in the end, they can all really put up about the same yardage. For me, it's going to be a question of who scores the points. Right now, Juju is certainly where MVS was a few weeks ago in OTAs. Will that change as we go through? Probably. But the fact that there are multiple guys doing that, that's really what sets the tone in my mind.
No, it absolutely sets the tone. And the question becomes, how is it going to continue to go over the next couple of weeks? Like, Juju had a great day yesterday. He had another good day today. MBS had a good day today. Who's next tomorrow? Is it McCole Hardman? Does he have a big day? Does Sky Moore have a big day? Does somebody else step up and have a big day? Does Jody Fortson have a big day as a tight end? I mean, there's lots of different ways that this is going to go for Kansas City's offense, and that's what's exciting about it. That's what makes this intriguing to watch and exciting to see as a Chiefs fan, because you never know where they're going to be going with the ball, in that if they can get that established in camp over the next couple of weeks, this offense is going to be putting up points every single week, and nobody's going to be able to stop it. Because the problem is an NFL defense, you can't double team everybody. Mm-hmm. And they're going to have enough weapons to where you can't double team enough people to take everybody away.
Yeah. I think one thing that's being kind of undervalued right now that we're seeing from the reports from practice. I haven't been to practice yet, folks. If you have, let us know what you think. Leave it in the comments here on YouTube or in the reviews on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. The big thing for me is you don't hear about it because it's not as flashy, but they have been getting the passes out. I think the first pass of team yesterday went to Clyde Edwards-Helaire out of the backfield. Rojo's getting passes out of the backfield as well. So it seems like there's also in the early script in camp that kind of volume to get the running backs involved in the passing game as well, and not necessarily on screens, which I think will come later in the season. But for right now, I see that as a positive message as well, that yes, we're going to go deep and we're going to take our shots, but we're also going to pull it down and get the easy yards as well.
Well, and I think you have to do that because I think what you're going to see is this Chiefs offense, they got, I hate saying this sometimes, but they got too predictable last year at times, and really even the year before that. You get to a point where people know you're going to have Tyreek Hill going down the field, and you have Travis Kelce underneath and in the middle of the field, and those are the types of things you can do to exploit a defense. And those players were so good, they allowed them to be able to continue to do that even when defenses were trying to take them away. Now you're in a situation where Mahomes' arm can already attack any spot on the field. Now you have an offense that's going to be built to where you can attack every spot on the field. And if you're going to add in the running backs, it doesn't sound sexy to have those, 5-yard outs or whatever to the running backs or a swing pass or anything like that. But that makes a huge difference when those over-the-top guys that are trying to cover people deep know that they have to also worry about underneath. That's going to affect coverage. That's going to affect what defenses are allowed to do to you and how they do it. Yeah.
And that pulls everybody down, leaves more space over the top. The question is really going to be, how effective is at pulling teams out of, the super deep cover 4s and cover 6 and cover 3, and especially with the split safeties. If they can pull them out of too high, it opens up things where MVS and Juju can maybe exploit, McColl can certainly exploit, but they're not quite what Tyreek Hill was. So Tyreek Hill could get it done against split safeties. He could get it done in cover 4 where you have too many guys converging on you. I don't think any of these players are at that caliber, but if you can wrangle teams out of too high, I think all 3 of those receivers can exploit it.
Well, and the bigger thing is maybe we're not going to see the huge chunk plays that we got so used to with Tyreek Hill. That's okay. If your offense evolves and you're able to move the ball, and maybe it takes you 2 or 3 more plays to get downfield and score a touchdown. Maybe that's what happens with this Chiefs offense. That actually makes you more deadly than just having the ability to go over the top. Being able to go over the top is great. Being able to score quick is great. But when you're stretching them at all positions, then you also are able to mix and match guys and put them in positions where they're going to get somebody that you really like the matchup on. And that could be a huge key as well.
Matchups are what's going to sell this defense too. Some news on Justin Reed and the safety group. What's going on in camp right after this? So at one point, new safety, and obviously the leader of the defense at this point, the guy that the Chiefs want to see take on the leadership role, Chris Jones isn't going to be the number one leader. He's more of the levity in this locker room, right?
Jester.
Nick Bolton's a lead by example guy. He's not going to be a vocal leader. So it falls to Justin Reed. He went off the field for a little bit today. Now, as I understand it, there was a small collision. I'm not sure if everybody saw it, but I got one report that did. He went to the tent. He did a couple of things in the workout room, had his helmet, and could have gone back to practice, but did not. Couple of things tell me that from that is that, A, they value Reed above just about everything else, that they're not going to push him back in practice. There's no reason for it. Keep him safe. Keep him able to recover. We'll see if he's back out there with the regular program tomorrow. In his stead, Brian Cook took his reps. That is exactly what we've been talking about since the draft, is that he is going to be the third guy that will fill in or be the third safety. Did that surprise you at all?
And Ryan can't be happier.
No, I mean, hey, it's like I told you so.
Yeah. Well, I already knew the second we started talking about Reed, I already knew where you're going to end up with this. So it didn't surprise me at all. No, it's not surprising to me. I think that he is the guy that needs to be that third safety. That's what they drafted him for. They drafted him for this type of role. And I think it's going to be great watching him be able to play. And I'm not trying to say I want to see Reed not be able to practice tomorrow, but I'm okay if he can't.
Right.
Because of all the people to get the reps, Cook is going to need them more than anybody else in that safety group if he's going to be playing major snaps. And I expect him to be playing major snaps this year. So I hope I guess I'll say it this way. I hope that they pull somebody else, if it's Zane Anderson or Devin Key or whoever the next guy up is. Maybe they put him back where Justin would normally play and still allow Cook to get his snaps in the role that they think he's going to play the most this year.
Mm-hmm.
Use that time to really get him involved in what he is going to do on a regular basis. Yes, he can do some over-the-top stuff. Yes, he can do what Reed is going to do, and he needs to do some of that. But have him focus where you think you're going to use him the most and get his reps there, because he is going to play an important role in this defense this year.
I think you have a good point, and I think it will also be very telling if that's what happens, if they are concentrating him on that line of scrimmage, that almost nickel backer type role, rather than doing what they did with Dan Sorensen, where they gave him some of that and they gave him some high and they moved him all around. They really wanted them, all three safeties, to be interchangeable, for lack of a better term. I think that will really tell us what their plan is for him if Reed isn't able to go. And don't get me wrong, it's a new defense for Reed, but he's got the experience of being in the league that I think, like you said, he can miss some reps and be okay, and that will actually bring Cook along farther, faster, and better for this defense. The really interesting part to me is that, and I want to get this quote right, so forgive me, folks, as I read this quote, I think Juan is going to be really good for us. Between him and Justin Reed, I think our back end is going to be really good, end quote. That is Chris Jones talking up the deep safeties. The three guys, along with Derek Nottie, they're going to be in between the hashes every snap, every down, and guarding the middle. And I think that's the key to this season, is on both offense and defense, is what happens between the hashes.
I think that's it. Well, and you have another one thrown in there with Nick Bolton as well. I think he's going to be in there as well. And it was actually said today that he's going to be the one wearing the green dot, which we already knew that, but just want to throw that out there because I did see it. You look at this defense and you look at what Juan is going to bring. If he is allowed to be the player that he was, or if he is able to be the player he was when he was a rookie, I still don't think he looked 100% last year. I think he was getting really close. I don't think he looked 100%. If he can get back to the way he was playing before he got hurt, this Chiefs defense has a chance to be very good on the back end. And pair him with Justin Reed, I think that's going to be a very good and dynamic duo, and I'm really looking forward to it. And don't forget, both those guys are going to be protecting younger corners. And we started talking about Joshua Williams yesterday. I'm not trying to go there, but you understand what I'm saying. I mean, that's part of their job. They're protecting those young guys. They're protecting the Chiefs from getting beat over the top. That is what they're there for. So how is that all going to play into everything? Those two getting on the same page, having that chemistry, having that knowledge, and then, getting Cook in there too, and getting them all going together. I would love to see them interchangeable. I guess I'm just looking at it more from an aspect of Cook is a rookie. I don't want to throw too much at him. I'm sure he could probably take a lot of it, but I'd rather him get down exactly what they expect him to do the most. And then you can start working with the, being interchangeable next year more than anything else.
True. I think at the end of the day, whatever has to happen can happen, because you made the investment in guys that have the mental capacity and the athleticism to do whatever you need them to do. It is about training them up and teaching them, and the recognition skills that you have to have at the safety position in particular. It's funny that you bring up Nick Bolton. A lot of conversation today about the green dot as though it was not the expectation. I'm not sure why that is. There was never, ever another option to do that.
Right? That's exactly how I felt. I was like, okay, why is this even being mentioned? Why is this even being talked about? It doesn't seem like it should be something that people wouldn't expect.
And I will say on the back end, like you said, protecting the young corners. Clearly, the wide receivers had the better day today. A little bit rough for some of the DBs. That's okay. That's how you learn. If everything's easy, you're going to get your butt kicked when you actually play another team. So, I don't get down on the DBs. They're going to have their day. I guess there was a PBU or two by L'Jarius Sneed. That was really about it. So, it's the second day of camp. By next week, we'll see what's really happening.
Yeah, but I would also say that you want corners to get beat right now. This is where you want them to be learning. This is where you want them to be getting beat. They're going to go. I mean, some of these guys, this is really their first NFL reps. I mean, that's the reality, is that this is really their first reps in the NFL. Yeah, games are going to be different. They're going to be a little bit faster. They're going to have a lot more going on. So this is where you want them to learn. This is exactly the time frame that you want them to be getting beat. And it's not concerning to me at all. I think that it's, you also look at it, and Juju's a good wide receiver. I mean, MVS, I still have questions about just because of his usage in Green Bay. I'm not saying he's a bad wide receiver. I'm just saying because of the way he was used in the past, it makes me question how effective he'll be. I think he can be effective, but that's something that's more of an unknown than Juju is. Juju has shown he has the ability to be a star in this league. I think MVS has the ability to be very good. We'll see. But those are not wide receivers that are just going to be league average, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's the key. Is like you don't have to be all world. If you get 4, 5, maybe even 6 wide receivers that are above average, you're in business. And that's a very difficult wide receiver core to stop because there are not a lot of teams that can go 4 deep at corner and actually compete.
No, and I agree. And we got to get going here in just a second, but I want to make sure I make this point, and I want to get your opinion on it. Look, did you see who played left tackle again today?
I did not. Talk to me, Goose.
Roderick Johnson.
That's 2 days in a row.
Exactly. And I wanted to make sure I pointed that out because that is what we talked about yesterday when we started talking about reps. That matters. That's more than just – I mean, it's possible they'll go with somebody else completely different tomorrow. Maybe Christian goes in tomorrow. But they're
also possible
2 days in a row.
He's a liar.
That's true.
we dropped the hint about Tooney, and then he said, "Oh wait, we're not going to do Tooney." And then he dropped the hint yesterday. Hey, we're going to rotate guys through, and nope, it's the same dude. So,
but that's my point. I wanted to make sure we pointed out it was the same guy. It was Johnson, and we'll see how if that continues going forward. Still no update on Brown, and sounds like that's probably going to be a while. So, looks like this is where the team could be for a bit.
I'll tell you guys this: the drop dead date for me is August 10. Because that's a week before they break camp. And I think if Orlando's going to be at the caliber that he needs to be this season, I think he needs a week of camp. If he comes in when they're back at the facility and everything's comfortable, I don't know that gets it done. So we're on watch. We'll let you guys know when we know. But who do you think is going to step out in the secondary? And which of those wide receivers is the next one to break out? Is it McColl tomorrow? Let us know what you think in the comments on YouTube or in the profiles there on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts, the reviews as well, all kinds of stuff. Hit us at Locked On Chiefs on Twitter. We hope to hear from you soon. I'm glad that you guys are enjoying these. Welcome to camp. We're having a blast. We're with you every day. And thanks for making us your first listen. We really appreciate it. Thanks for being here today. We will talk to you tomorrow.